Hello everybody and welcome to the Revere Senior News, the June 2017 edition. And my name is Steve Fielding. I'm the director of the Revere Elder Affairs and Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. And I have a co-host that is now back, Mr. Morris Morris. Welcome back.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
It's been about 8 months since we've been on this DS together, and I'm really happy that you are back. And we make a great team for this show, and we provide a lot of good information. And you're looking great. I know you've been back to the Senior Center, about a month now, approximately?
Yep.
And it's good to have you back.
3 weeks to be exact.
3 weeks?
Yep.
And it's good to have you back.
But I've been out of the hospital a month.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. We're going to talk to Morris about his, for lack of a better word, stay at the hospital, yeah, his hiatus, I guess.
Yep.
But anyway, the first thing I want to do, Morris, is just kind of update people on what's going on in June at the Senior Center, and then we can talk about everything that you've experienced over the last 8 months, which is the time you spent away from us.
Be my guest. You're the host, and I'm just here today.
Okay. So first of all, June is Flag Day month, and I want to salute our American flag and our veterans who have made the American flag something to really stand for by providing our freedoms.
And Father's Day.
Exactly, in Father's Day. So those are two special things that are happening in the month of June. Also, at the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center, we are having a Health Awareness Day on June 15th. That's a Thursday, and it's from 10 to 3 p.m. And we are going to have a number of vendors, home health care agencies, the fire department, the police department, the PACE program, caregivers, Mystic Valley Elder Services. There are a number of organizations that will be available for seniors to speak to. So that's June 15th on a Thursday.
Right. You know, I have to tell you, I was watching something last night, and Big Ben, you know, that clock in London?
Yes.
Doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I think maybe they forgot to turn it on over there.
It could be that they never put the clocks back or forward or whatever they do over there. I don't know what the time difference is. I think it's six hours, right?
Yep.
So anyway, let me just give the folks at home a little bit of information regarding June, and then we can have our discussion. How's that?
Be my guest.
Okay, so we do have a basic computer class. If you are interested in the computer class, it costs $20. Brenda is the instructor, and it's 5 consecutive Thursdays, and we usually hold a class 5 consecutive weeks with 5 people per class. So if you call the Senior Center and speak to Camille at 781-286-8156, you can reserve your spot. And I had Mark Silvestri as a guest on the last show, and I said to him that if you know a veteran, or if you pass the word to veterans, they can attend this class free of charge. So that's something that you, I know, would appreciate.
Yep. Let me ask you a question. Those 5 lessons, how does they start and where do they end?
Well, I want to make sure that people realize it's a basic computer class, how to turn it on, what a mouse is, what a keyboard is. And, you know, everybody has different skill levels. So Brenda does accommodate each person's need. So if one person is more advanced than another, she will spend time throughout the 2 hours that the class is, and the class is held 12:30 to 2:30. So it's a great class, and I encourage people to call up and sign up. We have a Senior Center Book Club. It takes place every Thursday in the month of June. It's going to be also on June 15th. Janice Van Hoekelum is the Revere librarian who runs it. She brings the books over. They discuss the books, and they have a nice snack. And this month it's June 15th from 2:30 to 3:30. And that's a great opportunity for people to, who are avid readers to discuss the book. We have Hollywood at the Senior Center. Every Wednesday we have a beautiful movie, new releases, ordered right through the library via Redbox. And I can tell you, Morris, with the new 80-inch HD smart TV, it's a great thing for seniors. We have a lot of up-to-date movies, including what you and I discussed off there, Patriots Day, which you watched when you were at the VA.
When I was at the VA in Brockton, I have to tell you, the veterans, and they were from the Vietnam War on up to beyond World War II, and the young ones, they loved it. It's a great movie, and I think people should come and see it because it gives you a whole outline of Boston and exactly what happened on Patriots Day.
Right. So we order the movies, Morris, but we don't know when the movies will actually be in
Nope.
to the Senior Center. However, if you read the Revere Journal, every week we post what the movies are for the next week and a half. So you'll be able to see that. Okay, so Blood Pressure with Carol Donovan takes place on June 15th and the 29th at 11. Hearing Assistance with Mary Marino takes place on June 22nd from 10 to 12. We have Barbara McDonald, the chair massage lady, from 9:30 onward on June 12th. And the last thing I just want to mention is our senior shuttle. And if you are looking for more information on the senior shuttle, you can check Revere TV because they constantly run what the shuttle program is all about. You can look at the newsletter, which we give out every month and distribute to retail stores, including City Hall and the library. Or you can watch this show, and sometimes we do talk specifically about it. So before we run out of time, and I know we're going to need a lot of time, I want to say, again, it's great to have you back here. And you just spent a lot of time at the VA, both in Brockton and JP, correct?
Brockton, JP, and I go to the one on Causeway Street as an outpatient.
Why don't you tell us about your stay and why you, I don't know if you want to get into why you were there, but why don't you tell us about your stay?
No, I'd like to get in why I was there because it could save a lot of lives. What happened was it was on a Saturday, October the 22nd, around 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12. My wife said, go to pick up her pills at the pharmacy at Suffolk Downs, Furlong Drive. So the light was red as I was coming out. The light turns green. I naturally moved with the green light. But there was a car on my left, and he went fast past the green light and made his turn. I was a little slower, and I heard a pop, a big bang, and I says, oh my God, somebody got hit. But I never knew it was me. So the door, he hit the door, and he totaled my car, by the way.
The driver's side, right?
Yep, I was driving, so he hit the door and he bashed the door in. I had the seatbelt on, so I couldn't move much, so the door came in, and I didn't feel any pain at the time. The fire department came over and they says, I think you should go to Winthrop Hospital. I says, I feel fine. He says, you may feel fine now, but you won't feel fine in an hour. And he was right. I had a couple of broken ribs, a punctured lung, a couple of vertebrae, and I went to Winthrop Hospital. From there, the VA took over, and they sent me back to West Roxbury.
Oh.
And from there, I went to Brockton, where I spent ironically, I arrived at Brockton on December the 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, of all days, as a World War II vet. I arrived on December the 2nd, and I didn't get out till the latter part of April. So I was there December, January, February, March, April, 5 months.
And so I know
Just at the Brockton VA.
I know in speaking to you during that time, you were very happy with the treatment you got and overwhelmed by the care that you got from different doctors. And I know you want to say something about that.
Yep, I would like to thank one doctor in particular because he operated twice. And at the beginning, it said it was touch and go, but now it's just touch. And his name is Dr. Charlie Foster. Charlie, if you're listening, Dr. Foster, I want to thank you. The doctors that are taking care of me now when I go as an outpatient, and they make me wear this so they can, they have, in other words, everything is done by remote there now, so they lock me in to know that I'm there by, locking in on this barcode over here. There's a couple of doctors at West Roxbury, Dr. Shah, Dr. Gupta, and Dr. McPhee, who are doctors on vascular, which takes care of the foot, the blood, and everything else. I want to thank them for doing that. But while I was in Brockton, I have to tell you, there were some great people there, but there was one there that celebrated his 104th birthday. And ironically, I left the article in the car, but the next time we do the show, I will bring it up, but I'll give you a brief synopsis on it. He was a judge at the Illinois Supreme Court. He became a judge in charge of the Illinois Supreme Court. The thing is that he never went to public school, and he never went to high school. Now, those are two things you would think he wouldn't get far. But folks, he did graduate from Harvard with high honors. And the way he explained it to me is he wanted to get into Harvard, and he kept writing the dean a letter. He says, I'd like to enter Harvard, but he was told to bring his diplomas in, high school and public school, but he didn't have any. So they thought they would get him off their back by letting him take the entrance exam because he was persistent. The trouble was when he took the entrance exam, he was ahead of the class of everybody else, so they couldn't turn him away. So he did go to Harvard, and he graduated with Harvard with high honors.
Well, he certainly had a gift, that's for sure, his intelligence.
Right, but the thing that shocked me the most, that he told me that he was 13 years old. He was a chess champion, tournament chess champion. And I said to him, did you play anybody that was really good? He said he played a couple of the Russian big ones, and the Russians were very good in chess. And he says, and I beat them both. I says, good.
That's quite a story, you know, when you consider somebody not having a public school or even a private school education.
I graduated.
And getting into Harvard, huh?
Yep. When I
And becoming a judge.
Right, and by the way, in case people don't know, his name is Judge Layton. He's at the Brockton VA, one of the nicest gentlemen you ever want to meet. And he turned 104. He's going on 105 years old, which is 1 year older than our own South Santoro, by the way.
So you know what I find when we were talking off air, you were telling me that you were one of the youngest veterans from World War II veterans, right?
World War II.
At the VA when you were there,
Right.
right? So a lot of them served many, many, many years ago. And this shows you what our government does for our servicemen. They still help them.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, the treatment I got there was excellent. I mean, the nurses were good. The orderlies were good. The only thing I could make one complaint about is I wasn't crazy about the food, folks. The hospital food is not the greatest for me.
So I'm going to use that segue because you are obviously you've come to the Senior Center for years and you're there every day. And you miss the food at the Senior Center?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's the reason. That's the reason I left. I stuck out of the hospital. Eat the food at the Senior
And
Center.
the other funny thing is, I remember talking to you, and I said, "What are you going to have? What's the first thing you're going to have when you get out of the hospital when you get home?" And you said, "I want an Italian sub."
And I did have.
And you did have it.
I had. I got two off. I went to Domino's.
Yeah. In Beachmont. Yeah.
In Beachmont, I bought the subs, and I finished them both. And then I went to where.
Not at the same time. You didn't have them together, did you?
No, I finished one day and one the next day. But the reason is, like, I usually go to the SNL on Chelsea.
Right.
And they make the foot-long subs.
Yep.
But since I can't drive because I can't put any pressure on my foot, unless people drive me there, I can get the sub there. They have great subs too. So
Yes.
SNL and Domino's, as far as I know, I'm sure there's a lot of other places that have excellent submarines. I just don't get around to them.
Now, when you were at the VA hospital, you also played music there like you do at the Senior Center.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So if people don't know what Morris does at the Senior Center, he's been a DJ, if you will. I hope you don't mind
I
that
just
term.
play the music.
You play the music. You've been doing that for well over 30 years.
Yeah.
And you actually create individual playlists for people.
Oh, yeah.
And you download music using your Chrome,
Yep.
right? And so Morris is pretty well versed in
Yep,
the
I got a
computer.
playlist for everyone that sits at our table in the front.
Right.
And people come over, they like certain songs, I will put it on their playlist. I
So-
mean, if it's, you have one song or 10 songs, you will have your own playlist.
Now, when you were at the VA, did you also play music?
Oh, yeah. I had a matter of fact, there was a lot of people that came in just to listen to it. That brought back a lot of memories to the old folks. But the thing I would like to say, when I first got into the VA, there was a gentleman in my room. His name is John Levitt. John told me he was a bomber pilot during the war, Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
And he flew off aircraft carriers, and I said to him, John, tell me a little about your story. And John explained to me that he was a lieutenant commander in the Navy, but he was a bombardier pilot, and he would bomb the Japanese ships. And I says, weren't you scared? He says, yeah, I was scared, he says, but I knocked out about 8 of them. I says, they were more scared than I was. And I says, how do you do it? And he explained to me that you would come in, and about 400 feet from the ship, you would level your plane off, you would drop the bomb straight. And he explained to me that the bomb had 2 propellers, so it wouldn't veer to the left, it wouldn't veer to the right. Once you dropped it straight, that's where it would head for. And he was pretty good on his target, he said. So John, if you're listening, thank you for your service. And by the way, he's 96 years old.
Wow.
Okay, so most of the World War II vets were in their 90s. I was the only one that was still in the 80s there.
You know what's interesting is that when people like, and I could be wrong, but when people think of veterans, they usually, or they have for most of my life, thought of World War II vets, you know, Korean or Vietnam vets.
Let me put it to you this way.
So-
Everyone that puts on an American uniform, I don't care whether it's wartime or peacetime, I hope it's peacetime, they are veterans.
Right.
End of story. And I hear people say, well, I'm a Vietnam era vet. I said, what do you mean by era? Well, I wasn't overseas, I was here at home. Well, if you were here at home, then the person was overseas, but if you weren't here at home, he wouldn't be overseas. You were doing a job that he might have been doing at home. So you were filling in for someone else. So everyone that puts on a uniform, everyone that puts on a uniform should be considered a veteran as long as he does not get a dishonorable discharge.
Now, what about National Guard people? Are they considered veterans?
They are. They weren't at a time when I was in the service, but I guess there was a law passed that they are considered veterans.
That's good. That's very good.
I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I mean, today they were. At the time I was, they weren't.
You know, I was putting on the movie for the seniors at the Senior Center before we came over, as you know. And one of the previews was for a movie called Hacksaw Ridge, which is a true story. And I forget the gentleman's name, but he entered the service and it was against his religion to carry a gun or to shoot people. And I guess he refused to do so, but he had to go through legal channels in the military. And they approved him to go into the military and not use a weapon. And I guess there was a battle, and I just
What's
don't
the name of the
remember.
movie?
Hacksaw Ridge.
Is it still on the air, man?
It is. It is. It's a true story. And the man saved about 150 lives by climbing up this ridge where the Germans were up there. And he saved 150 lives individually by bringing them down over the mountain.
You should have got the Medal of Honor for that.
He may have, and I as we're talking, I just can't remember the name of him, but it was a very special person and a very religious man and a person who I believe did receive some very strong accommodations.
I have to say this, Steve, there's a channel when I got home, we didn't have it over in Brockton, and by accident, as I was going through the TV, it's called the AHC channel, AHC, the American Heroes Channel. And it's everything about World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and people who are veterans, if they really want to see good military, that's this channel. It's on Comcast, AHC, I don't know what number it is. I know I watch it, it's on 1148. When I watch it, no, 1480, I'm sorry, 1480. And I watch the American Heroes Channel.
So while you were away, we had a guy named Les Eulis who still comes. And he came a couple of days a week to kind of be you.
That's all right.
Although he wasn't you. He was very good. He used to put the Bluetooth phone on the system, and he used to play the music, not the same way you did, just so they would stop listening to a radio, or if I went down and put a DVD, a CD, music CD on and everything. So when you came back, everybody, you know, when you were coming back, I had told people, and they were very excited, and you got a nice reception when you came back, and
Oh, yeah.
you were very happy to be back, and I think everybody was happy that you were back.
Well, I'll tell you, the music I play is mostly the generations of my generation and the next generation, which is the Korean War generation.
Right.
From the Vietnam started to get different. They started to get more into that rock and roll.
Rock and roll, right. That's my generation.
Exactly,
Right.
yep. The generation that went in like the Gulf War and things was more like the disco type of music. Now when I turned the radio on and I'm talking about to see what's the latest music, I hate to tell you this, it's rap or it just don't make any sense.
Right, right.
So the folks, and a lot of the, I have to say this, when I was in Brockton, a lot of the Vietnam veterans who are in their 60s or 70s at that age, they loved the music that we played from World War II, like Glenn Miller and Artie
Right.
Shaw and Benny. They liked that stuff. And the funny thing about it, my generation loves Elvis now. We listen to Elvis and all those, Michael Bublé and all those great
Well,
artists.
I think as you get older, sometimes you appreciate different genres of music as
Yeah.
opposed to when you're a younger person and you're stuck kind of in this particular era.
People don't know this here, but when I was at the Brockton VA, if I have some time here,
Go right ahead.
we had coffee every morning. Coffee, yeah, right. I still got that New York accent, folks.
It's a Brooklyn accent, right? It's not New York, it's a Brooklyn accent, right?
Yep, well, maybe they speak with an accent up here.
Oh, and I also want to thank you. So being from Brooklyn, I want to thank you because as a result of the Brooklyn draft picks that the Celtics got when they traded Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn
Oh.
Nets, okay? we were able to get a #1
One-
draft pick from the
right.
Brooklyn draft pick. So thank you, Morris.
No,
And
thank
you
you.
indirectly had something to do with that, I think.
Let me tell you, at this Brockton VA, every morning, we would have 9 o'clock coffee and cake. Sometimes different veterans organization would come over in the evening. They would invite us if we wanted to go. They would bring pizza or meatball sandwich. And sometimes even an Italian submarine sandwich. When I heard the word Italian submarine, I gave up a lot of good things just to make sure I got there at the time. I would like to thank Mr. Paul Monti. I'm sure you know, he came to visit me twice. Twice he brought me Italian sub sandwich, but he did more than that. In my room, there were 2 other people. He brought each one a sandwich. So the first time he came, it was just me. The second time he came, he bought 3 sandwiches for all of us. Right. And before he left the first time, he asked them what they wanted. I told him I want Italian sub. The other gentleman, Don Cotton, he wanted an Italian sub. And Bob Shaughnessy, who came from Winthrop, he wanted roast beef, and that's what they got.
Good. I'm glad they were able to have what they wanted.
At night, they showed movies at the Brockton, like the Bridge of Spies we saw. There was a movie we saw about the U.S. Coast Guard training, the whole picture about the Coast Guard, how you train in the Navy, how you had to know how to swim, you flunked out, which was very good in there.
What about that movie, Going in Style?
Oh, yeah. They took us. We were on wheelchairs. I was confined to a wheelchair, so they had a special bus there that you could fit in about 4 or 5 wheelchairs, and then the walking thing. So they took us to the Randolph Cinema, the Showcase Cinema in Randolph. And Randolph, fairly new cinema, so we went down the basement, because that's where the movie was, down the basement, like a fortress down there. And you could wheel your chair in, you know, you sit in your chair, or you could sit on the cushion's chair. There was a table there, and they would give us popcorn and soda all the time when we went there. And we saw that movie, Going in Style, about 3 senior citizens, which was funny.
Who robbed a bank, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The reason they robbed the bank was to get even with the guy who owned the bank, because he wanted to foreclose their house on there. But I would like to thank some of the people that worked at the recreation there. And
Go ahead, because just to tell you, we've got about 5 minutes left here, so I want to make sure you get in what you want to say.
I want to thank Susan Riley, who's in charge of recreations at the Brockton VA. Joanne, I want to thank. Steve, who wheeled me around in my wheelchair, who wanted to get people out of their room to bring them down for coffee and watch the movies, who couldn't really wheel. They weren't confined to the wheelchair. He did a good thing. Jesse, another one. Sean and Arthur. I want to thank them all for what they did for us and what they did for me when I was at the Brockton VA.
Good. Well, we are happy to have you back, believe me, and I hope you continue to rehab in a very speedy way, very safe way, and I hope that, you know, the rest of 2017 and going into next year, you put all your troubles behind you physically, and that you can join us every single day at the Senior Center.
I got to say this here, but I have to admit that there was a few nurses there that treated me like a dog. And I
can't believe that, Morris.
Yep, they treated me like a dog, because every time they would come in, they would look at me, they'd say, Mr. Morris, please roll over, please roll over. I said, okay, so I roll over, and they would say to me, roll over on your left side. So I did, and I look at them, I says, now I'm all right now. And they would get a kick out of it.
I'm glad you told the joke, because that is you. Everybody knows that you have a lot of jokes.
Once in a while I get jokes. I got a couple of good ones there.
But anyway, before we wrap up, I just want to give a little summary to folks at home, okay? And if you're familiar with the Revere Senior Center, you'll know that we offer a lot of good health and exercise programs. They're always expanding. One in particular, core and balance / fall prevention, is so important. And we actually have 2 classes now per week, and we're going to end up with 3 starting in July. You know, we've lost some people as a result of falls, and others got hurt as a result of falls at home. And this class is excellent and will help you to deal with that. We also have yoga dancing, yoga meditation, Zumba, combo exercise. And while you were gone, I don't know if you had a chance to meet him, but Bill Barron is our new Tai Chi teacher. And he is such a wonderful guy, and he has probably got about 20 people on average per class, and they really like it. In fact, last week, both his class and the core and balance as a result of some events that we had going on, the senior art exhibit. We had these folks bring their class to the dining room, and they actually did it in front of all the other people that attend the senior center on a regular basis. And it was a great thing for the audience to see what the class is all about.
I would like to say one thing about the Veterans Organization. We had a gentleman there, his name was Pat, I don't know his last name, no legs at all, amputees right up to, almost to the belly here, he was amputated. They gave him like a motorized thing to ride around with. They built a ramp for him at his house so he can roll up with his wheelchair and do things like that. So the VA does a lot for the veterans, more, not only in the hospital, but even in the home. They make sure that you can get around your home.
So if there is a vet, I guess we can just kind of cross promote here, and you need some services, you can call the senior center here at 781-286-8156, and we can refer you to the Revere Office of Veterans Affairs. And I'm sure Mark Silvestri or Donna Driesen will help you in the best way that they can. They're two great people who really try to do everything they can to help veterans, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And lastly, before we call it a day here, I just want to welcome any Revere senior 60 years or older to come to the Revere Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. It's a warm, fun, safe, positive environment for seniors. You'll enjoy not only the camaraderie, you'll enjoy the programs, the activities, the services. We have a great meals program, $1.50 per day for lunch, and they're very good meals. And you found that out when you went to the VA and you were at a loss there, right?
Yeah.
So it's a great thing. All you have to do is call up ahead of time, the same number I just gave. If you can't get to the senior center, we have a great shuttle service, right, Morris? And
Yep.
you're taking that now.
Yep,
And
I can't drive.
you can't drive, so we come and pick you up and take you home. And it's for those people who come to the senior center and go home, or go to their home to an appointment, like a medical appointment or to the pharmacy. So call the senior center at 781-286-8156 to learn more about the shuttle. Check Revere TV. They always run the shuttle information. Check the Revere Senior Power that's distributed throughout the city. And you can also go on www.revere.org/elder-affairs. On the bottom part of the homepage there, we will have shuttle information so that you can read it there.
Right, before we close, you know, I used to talk about scams because I used to get the newsletter on scams. There's a new one that came out, and I'd just like to tell them in a minute. People traveling down the highway will sometimes see a car to the side, and that gentleman will say he's stuck. He can't get the car started, but he doesn't have enough money. And he'll flag you over, and he'll show you a Rolex watch or a Gucci watch, and he says you can have it for 15 bucks or 20 bucks, you know, a $3,000 Rolex or a $200 Gucci. He says, I'll sell it to you for 10 or 15 bucks. They're fakes. And that's their new scam out there to stop you, because you got a good heart, you might want to help. And women do that too. So
Right.
that's one of their new scams now.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for being back. It's great to have you back on the show. And it's a wrap, folks. So we hope to see you very shortly at the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. And don't forget to tune in again to see the Revere Senior News when we air for July.